Hi everyone, Mr. Allen here. Just a quick run through of how to draw a box and whisker plot. We're going to do this as a sketch essentially, so I don't need it to be too perfect, but we'll go through the process. So I have a set of data here. Doesn't really matter where this data came from. The median is 22.5, first quartile, third quartile. If anybody's unsure sort of how to find those, this is using the percentile formula. We can find the median. Of course, we can also just kind of look at this and recognize I have 16 different items in my list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the 8th, this is the 9th, and so halfway between those is where I find my median. For the percentiles, essentially we have to go through the process, establish where the position is of the 25th percentile. So 16 items plus 1 times 25% is 4 1/4. 25 and the dividing by 100, of course, is the 25%. So I'm finding that I'm 25% of the way through my list at that position. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So a quarter of the way between 15 and 16. And so I take the 15 and I go a quarter of the way between them to get the 15.25. And then similarly, the third quartile, I'm looking for the 75% mark in my list. So 17 times 75% is 12.75. And so position 12 is this 27 here. The 13th position is the 37, and I'm going 75% of the way. Again, the decimal value that's left over here is what I'm dealing with percentile. So I want position 12.75. Position 12 is here, and then 75% of the way between these two is another 7.5, and so 34.5 is my third quartile. So just sort of that's where those numbers came from. Now as far as drawing the box and whisker plot, again, I'm looking for a sketch more than an actual really well done graph. And so if I can grab a rectangle here, I've got my rectangle. I'm going to look at this a little bit and try to do a decent job. I recognize that 12 and 52 are my endpoints, and that these numbers are tending towards the 12 more than towards the 52. So I'll do a sort of a decent job with this, as long as I recognize which numbers are going where. My 12 is over here on this end. My 52 is well out here on this end. I may just have drawn that off the screen. And then recognizing that my first quartile is fairly close to my 12, I'll keep this line fairly short. Pencil in the 15 1/4 here. My 34.5 is over here. And again, I'm looking to do a decent job. There's a gap of about 20 here, a gap of about 3 here. I probably could have made this shorter or made this longer. But the rectangle and the values that I'm putting in clearly show that I knew exactly what I was doing. And if I had cared to do a better job, I could have measured it out and done a better job that way. I suppose if I was doing this for the sake of some sort of report that I was handing in, I might do a better job. But for the sake of just being sure that I know what I'm doing, this is more than adequate. And then the 22.5, again, 7 away from this, 9 away from this, so slightly off-centered, maybe about here. Again, doing a good job, not a great job. 22.5 goes in here. Because I'm actually writing in the numbers, I don't feel like I need to do as good a job with the measurement that I would. I just compare it to drawing triangles in trig. When I start labeling all my angles and labeling my sides, there's no reason for me to be measuring them. So same sort of thing here. I'm looking to do a good job so that it's clear my data is leaning towards this side a little bit. There's a fairly large gap on the end where you can see the gaps between the numbers get bigger, so there's less data over here, a little bit more of a leaning this way, but I can read this and get the information I want. So that is the box and whisker plot, and that's all that I'm expecting as far as how accurate and how perfect you do in this course.